Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talkin' to Me podcast. Today, we will be reviewing the Parent Trap remake this week, which I'm sure all of you are very excited for, especially after our kind of train wreck last week. But this one we've got down. So, Hannah, do you want to hit us with the synopsis recap?
Yeah. The 1998 version of The Parent Trap is about twins, Annie and Hallie, separated at a young age. Hallie lives with her dad in Napa Valley, and Annie lives with her mom in London. The girls meet at a summer camp that they were sent to. When the girls discover that they are twins, they decide it would be a brilliant idea to switch places for two reasons: to meet the other parent and to hopefully get their parents back together. When Annie, who is pretending to be Hallie, makes it to California, she discovers that her dad is planning on marrying a woman named Meredith. Annie sends a 911 fax to Hallie. Hallie gets caught calling Annie by her grandfather and has to tell her mother what is going on. Elizabeth, Hallie, and Martin fly to San Francisco and meet Chessie and Annie. Nick sees Elizabeth for the first time and doesn't know what to think. The girls insist on the four of them going camping together, but Elizabeth has Meredith go instead. The girls play pranks on Meredith, and she tells Nicholas he has to choose her or the girls. He chooses the girls. When they get back to the house, Nicholas and Elizabeth start to connect again, but then Elizabeth flies home with Annie. When they arrive in London, Nicholas and Hallie are waiting for them. The film ends with them getting married on the same boat they got married on the first time.
Beautiful. So I was thinking that we could do a couple of the differences in this film, or what this film did better or worse than the original version, and then go into like specifics on what we like or dislike just in general about the film. What do you think, Hannah?
I like that idea.
Okay, well, my first review is that this film, I think, filled in a lot of the story gaps that were missing in the other film, made things kind of make more sense. Maybe like they listened to the criticism of the first round that this came out, and it also added a lot of personality to literally every character. So,
Very good point.
yeah, like the personality one, for example, is my favorite addition to this film. There are just little tiny moments within the film that do matter. Like, they make sense because, like, for example, I'll just tell you the first thing is Martin and Annie's little handshake when he drops her off at camp. This, like, you know, they're clapping around, doing some hip bumps and little dance movements and stuff. It, one, tells you a lot about their relationship just in that one moment, is that they are really bonded. And it's also a test right away before they even split up and leave camp, when they switch, to prove that, yep, this is Annie when he's picking her up. So they added little things like that that weren't meaningless. They meant something or had a purpose, but improved the film. I immediately liked both of them just because they had this cute bond. You know, Martin's a good guy because he's willing to, like, what, they're 11, right, in this movie, I think?
Yes.
Like, he's willing to spend enough time with this child to indulge her in a cute little secret handshake that they do. I loved that.
I always loved that handshake too, and I always wanted to have a handshake like that when I was younger. A difference that I noticed was I wrote down that it felt less rushed into the relationship, like the parents. And that's probably because they add more details or something, but they just seemed like they didn't just go from like, oh, I'm just meeting you again, where is in the original it was like, let me punch you in the face and now we're dating. um so I felt like that was something that I liked, was that just felt less rushed. And I don't know minute wise in the movie if it hit at the same spot. It could have, but it just didn't feel as rushed.
Yeah, I would say one, both movies are like the exact same length, like runtime. It's very weird. I don't know how much of that is credits, how much of that is what part of the film, like Hannah said. But runtime on Disney Plus, they're both the exact same length. But even, I don't know, yeah, I agree. It definitely felt less rushed. And I wonder if it was just that the moments were more personal, and it felt like there was time passing in between. You know, them almost kissing in the wine cellar to them meeting at the house in London are like the very next scene basically from each other. But time has passed, and you know time has passed, so it feels less rushed because it's like not the very next second in their life that it happened, even if it was the very next second in the movie that it happened, which is creative. Wouldn't have ever really thought that that would have a huge difference.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I also like the aspect of the butler, Martin, and Chessie, who's the housekeeper of Nicholas, their storyline together. Um, but so, like we've talked about in all of our previous podcasts recently, we did already record this, and this is a re recording because it accidentally got deleted. We talked about before how I've always thought that they were gay. Like, I've since a kid, even though they were in a relationship, I just thought so. And Rachel the other day sent me this TikTok of this guy who is in the LGBTQ plus community, and he had the same feelings about it. He's like, they're gay. And I was like, that's what I'm saying. Okay.
Even though I do love them together, but maybe I only love them together because I love them so much separately. I was like, this just makes sense. They should get married and, you know, have a beautiful life together.
Something that was different in this one was that both the girls could play poker also.
Yes. Okay. So that's something that I loved because this was one of the things that they like filled in, like one of the gaps, I feel like, because in the original they just hate each other because they look the same. Like there's literally no other reason. Okay? In this film, they're both competitive AF. Yes, they're a little weirded out by the fact that they look exactly the same, but I think the reason that they dislike each other is because they feel like they have to compete just with each other so much because they look the same, is that, you know, one of us has to be the better doppelganger basically. And so they have all these little challenges throughout the film that like, or throughout like the time at camp, that kind of like they're one-upping each other. The first one is fencing, which they didn't realize they looked the same when it happened, but that's how they introduce their competitive nature and get it in your head. Oh, these people, both of them want to win. Then is that when they do the pranks next? Or is it poker and then pranks?
Um, I'm not positive. I think it might be pranks then poker. Or no, I feel like it's poker then pranks because whoever
Oh,
loses
yeah.
gets their clothes taken.
Yeah, so they play poker, and I think the one that lost at fencing shows up and is like, bitch, I got some news for you. And so they play poker, and one of them loses. I'll never know which one throughout this film, basically. I'm just gonna like be saying one of them. So one of them loses and has to like jump into the lake naked, which is kind of a cruel prank, but it's an all girls camp. So it's not that bad, I guess. You don't have to worry about like creepy men, even though I suppose we don't know if any of the camp counselors are creepy, but they weren't there. So, um, so then when she jumps into the lake naked, they steal her clothes and sprint off, which classic. Then there's the other pranks like putting the beds on top of the cabin, which I thought was pretty good because that's like a 20-second scene. That's all they needed. They're walking down the path, look up, beds on the ceiling or on the roof, and they're like, it's on. So they just do a bunch of stuff like The mess in the cabin is the same as last time. I think it's a little more intricate and they like go a little further with it, but it's the same process. There's a cat in here. Um, and all this stuff. So they have pranks, but I think they set it up better.
I completely agree. And like you said, the bed scene, it was just perfect because they're coming back from playing basketball. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so tired. I'm gonna sleep until lunch." And then the one friend's like, "Oh, darling," or honey, or whatever she calls her. That can't happen. She's like, "Why?" And she's like, "That's why." And I was like, because they just like look up and then their beds are just, and then her little scuppy or whatever her little animal's called is, or cuppy, maybe, cuppy is hanging from the flagpole, which I thought was a good touch.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. So good on you for catching it. Um, those just seem to be like some of the really fun things. Oh, Hallie being a wine snob was really funny too. Just giving her another, it literally takes no time out of the movie to do it. It's like 2 lines, but it adds so much. And that's why I think, I'm going to say it now, this is the better version of the film. Like, they added so much. It's not just the gag of, oh, we look alike and we switch. It's like everything is just perfect. It's a good movie even if they didn't switch. Like somehow it would still be a really good movie if we just watched them living in their normal life, you know? And because the wine snob moment is when Hallie, who's from California, her father literally owns a wine vineyard. She's having dinner with her family in England, unknowingly there, acting as Annie. And she takes a sip of wine. Well, but first she goes like swishes it around, smells it, like wafts it into her nose, and then tastes it. Like oh, it has notes of grapes from this country. Like I don't know, she's just so specific with her review of the wine, and they're like, what? Who is this woman?
Yeah, they're like, "Did you get taught about wine at camp over the summer?" Like, who teaches 11-year-olds about wine?
It was so good though. Yeah, it was such a short moment, but it stuck out in our minds. It just goes to show that these writers really really took time with it. And even if it wasn't all just the writers, like let's say the directors like added stuff while they were shooting, like oh, we need a moment here. Goes to show how talented these people are to be able to come up with just little moments that show the family or when Elizabeth Banks takes her to work with her, like dress to her dress shop or whatever. Like these little things just make me just love them so much. Oh, the mom just loves her daughter so much, you can tell, or, all these things. I am in love with this movie.
Another thing with the twins that they added the touch. So Hallie was the whole wine taster, but she's pretending to be Annie, and so they're confused. And then the reverse, Annie's pretending to be Hallie in Napa Valley, and she's freaking out about something to her dad, and she starts speaking French, I believe. And he's like, "Did you learn French at this camp? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah, they have these small things that help make them question, like, who, what, are you my daughter? But they don't ever question, oh, are you the other one? Like, did you switch? Because it's been 11 years of them not knowing the other person exists. So they have no reason to even like suspect it. But which I do like. I think that's totally honest that they weren't like, you remind me of, oh no, never mind. Like the parents doing that. It was like Chessie did that for the first time, where she's like, it's almost like what, Chessie? Like it was like such a good moment. And it comes at the right times. And it does make sense that Chessie would be the first person to notice it because she's the one watching her kind of most of the time because the father does work. And Chessie's like the nanny, cook, house cleaner, everything. Like she just like works in the house all day with them. So I thought that was very accurate, that she would be the one that notices that she's different. You know, she doesn't want the chili. The dog barks at her a lot and acts like he doesn't know who she is, which is genius, by the way, because dogs are smart. That was a genius addition. And, you know, all these different things that just throw her off. And finally, they realize, you know, oh my gosh, yeah, you are Annie, not Hallie. So it was good. Like they build your suspicion, but they're convinced it's not true, especially the parents, you know.
Very true. And I definitely like the dog aspect, Sammy, how he just like doesn't know. And I'm sure he's thinking like, you look the same, but you smell different. Another funny thing with Sammy, I mean, it would be a difference, I guess, from the first movie. 'Cause was there a dog in the first movie? Yeah, I don't think so. Um, but Sammy nips at Meredith in this one scene instead of Chessie being like, oh, bad dog or something. She's like, good doggy. And I was like, yes, so funny.
No one likes Meredith. I mean, she was like a one of those classic, just like she would be like an Instagram model in today's like equivalent, I'd say, because she's just like rich and beautiful and comes from a rich family, but like doesn't do anything, like doesn't have her own career really, which makes me think of, not that Instagram models don't have a career, but they like don't go out and have like a 9 to 5 usually, or even like, you know, actors have to go on set and do a bunch of stuff. Um, Whereas Instagram models like go and do like events or do like outings to get their work done. So that's why I think like she's equivalent to that, because she obviously has money and she does something, but like doesn't have a standard job where she's making her money from. So that's why I kind of equate her to that.
I like that comparison because, yeah, I feel like that works really well. And she's into fashion and makeup sort of stuff. So, and fitness probably. So it seems like she would definitely be an influencer of some sort.
Yeah, like if they remade the 2021 version of this movie again, like that would probably have to be what, because there's not a lot of old money type of, you know, people anymore. There's a couple in the South, but like she definitely is just like, my family's been rich for decades and centuries.
True. Very, very true. I'm trying to see on my list if, oh, another difference that is a good difference. I mean, I still don't like the violence, but Elizabeth throws a hairdryer at Nicholas instead of punching him in the face, which I still don't think a hairdryer is like a good thing to be throwing at someone, but I like that a lot better than literal punching someone in the face.
Well, especially because she did it once when they were really, because they got married like very shortly after meeting each other. They were very immature, I'm sure, at the time. They seemed very young. And then now she just like walks away. She doesn't hit him, even though he's literally about to get married to somebody else. Like, she doesn't do anything. You can tell that she has grown from this character that we didn't even really see, you know? We know her past and we've seen her now. And I'm convinced she would never do that again. So that's why I like the change, even though I don't support her throwing the hairdryer at the time. They at least showed her being a different person in the film. Whereas in the original, she ain't different at all. She literally punches him on camera, and I think, like we said, that was supposed to be for humor, and we're both just cringing because that's not okay, no matter your gender or like relationship with a person. Like, that is not okay, especially because they're not together. Like, why is she so like PO'd that he's with another woman? Like, that I think was the reason she was so upset. And I can understand the want to hit somebody if you find out they're cheating. You still shouldn't. But there's like not even like motive here that makes even like the desire to want to like wring someone's neck. Oh, I can't believe you did such a horrible thing. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, because that just screams toxic relationship or toxic person if you're just gonna like go punch someone. I don't know. I don't like that at all. I don't believe in that sort of thing. But I'm glad that we both agree on that and that they changed that from the first movie because that wouldn't have aged well if they put that in again, you know? It's like, no.
Right. I don't think there was a whole lot of stuff that didn't age well in this film that I'm thinking of, which is good. Nothing stuck out to me, and I usually catch the lines like that if there's something that sticks out as problematic immediately. So there might be something, and if y'all have watched this film and there was something that rubbed you the wrong way, like comment below or email us or message on our Instagram or something, because it'd be really interesting to see y'all's interpretation of this version of the film. One of the parts that I really liked, and it was a switch or like a change from the original, is after they are about to go to California, the London family, the mom is like having a full-blown like breakdown, freaking out, like, I don't know what to wear, I don't know what I'm gonna do, oh my god, my hair looks terrible. Whereas in the original, I'm pretty sure the grandpa or the grandma or someone, like her mom or dad, was like, oh, it was definitely her dad saying like how she looked like frumpy or something. Maybe that's where the fat phobic comment was. Do you think maybe it was there? Like, we can't really remember.
It definitely could have been there. All I know is there was definitely a fat phobic comment though.
And so the her father was like, you need to get your hair done, you need to do your makeup. I can't believe you're gonna go looking like that and stuff. Whereas it's the Elizabeth Banks to herself is telling her all these things. And then Martin comes in to save the day basically and is like, if I was going to see my ex for the first time in 10 years, I'd wear this. And like goes and pulls out like this, you know, cool hot like cocktail dress that she would totally just like rock, and it was hilarious. And I mean he just was so perfect the way he delivered that line. Like he's just, that's why he's the best character. I don't know, he's one of them besides Chessie. They're like my favorites.
Yeah, on my list I literally have Martin and Chessie are the best characters ever. Um, Speaking of him, his he wears a Speedo and he walks out though in it, and Elizabeth is laying on the couch because she's just seen Nicholas or something, and she's overwhelmed, and she has this like a washcloth on her forehead or eyes, I can't remember, to just like try to relax. And he walks out in the Speedo, and she's just like, Martin. And then she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I thought I could have a break. And she's like, oh, yes, go. And then Chessie was like looking at him though. It's classic. Great, great part.
Yeah, and Chessie and Martin played the same role in each family, and they're very similar and yet so different. Like, they're both so lovable and like the most perfect humans, but are different. Like, I am just shocked at how good they made their characters. Like, the development, the portrayal of them by the actors, like, it was fantastic. I'm obsessed.
Me too. One of my other favorite scenes that's different from the first movie is Elizabeth is in the hotel bar, trying to drink away her sorrows or something. Well, so first of all, when they get to this hotel, she is drunker than a skunk, okay? She apparently doesn't drink very often, according to Martin or Annie, Hallie, whichever one she has at the moment, can't remember. Um, and she just gets totally wasted on the way from London to where are they meeting? In San Francisco? Yeah, San Francisco. And so then she's in the hotel bar trying to cure a hangover because she's hungover in the middle of the day. And that's actually where she meets Meredith. And Meredith is like, oh my gosh, you're Elizabeth Taylor. Like, can you design my wedding dress? And Elizabeth doesn't know that Meredith is Nick's soon to be wife. But the bartender gives her something to cure her hangover, and she's just like, I think I just drank tar. And I don't know what it is about that part of the movie, but that is just so good.
Quick detour, everybody. There are deer in the front yard of the house that I'm house sitting because the person that I'm house sitting for feeds them. And so if they haven't been fed by a certain time, they like show up and are like, hello, I'm starving, literally dying out here. Where's my breakfast? And I don't know if we fed them this morning, but they're outside. Okay, so back to the movie. So sorry. I before they get to California though, they all just like start crying, right? When they meet each other or when they find out that it's Hallie and not Annie, right? Like I just remember Martin bawling. And Chessie does the same when she finds out. She's like, I'm not crying. I'm you hungry? I'm gonna go make you. I'm gonna make you everything. You want pancakes? You want chili? I'm gonna make you everything in the whole house. Like, I like the way that they just like handle finding out. And the grandpa was iconic, just being like, you making a call? Like he like followed her out to the phone booth and just like shocked her out there because he knew something was up and he's like, you gotta tell him, and just helped her like come find a way to like tell them all. So it was beautiful.
It was beautiful, and all the relationships are just so good. Then I think something that's not just focusing on that, but switching to the fact that this movie was Lindsay Lohan's debut film, which is just insane to think that, she's playing two leads technically, and she did such a good job. I can't believe it. Like, that'd be very hard to have this type of movie be your very first film.
Well, and just as a child, being able to be this good at acting, like she was fantastic. So like personable, so realistic. Didn't look like she was acting like ever. I don't know. It she just the way her voice worked and her face and like actions, just every aspect of it was so perfect because I know how hard it is to act. Okay, I've been in a couple plays, but besides that, like when we read scripts in class, I know how hard it is to get your voice to not sound like you're acting. So that as you can just tell that she was just naturally talented as a child. I do feel bad because she had like a crazy momager. Like her mom is like the original momager, basically. Which, fun fact, Lindsay Lohan's mom was on Big Brother Celebrity too. Anyway, they, I don't know like what was the main demise of like Lindsay Lohan, but I think just being a child actor for one, and Disney's not the best at dealing with that. So they don't like to take responsibility for when their actors go off the deep end. So I think that is just very unfortunate, but she's just been fantastic in everything that she's been in. I don't think I've ever seen something that Lindsay Lohan was in that I was like, that wasn't very good. I haven't seen everything that she was in, but everything I have seen has been great. So she's a very talented woman.
I would agree with that. And then I guess speaking about her and obviously playing two roles, we talked about in the first movie, there was one body double and she had to give away her rights. I don't know if these body doubles had to give away their rights, but in this one there was 12 and they actually call them photo doubles. Don't know why they call them photo doubles, but I watched this thing on Disney Plus, like an extra, and it talked about sort of the process of making the film and how they used a photo double, and they had to use them to make sure shadows were cast in correct places and to make sure Lindsay's eyes were going in the right places to look at someone. And I mean, just think you're filming a whole movie twice at least, you know I just feel like that'd be so hard to do.
I wonder how and if it was a thing then. I mean, 98 is not that long ago, but it's long enough ago for like different rules and laws to be enforced. But I want to know how like the child labor laws worked for them and how much time they all were allowed to work before they had to just like go to the next day, you know? So that's something that I'm curious about because like you said, they had to film the whole movie like twice. How long did it take them to film this freaking movie?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How long did it take? And then, yeah, you made a good point with the child labor laws. Like, what if they could do 10-hour days, 5 days a week? Like, maybe they were allowed to do 50 hours a week. Um, or maybe it was less than that. Maybe it was more than that. And then also, was that a good time if you were working like 50 hours a week? Obviously, that'd be fun, but it gets draining too if you're doing it for months on end.
Well, yeah, and you I feel like it would just be easier at that age, at 11, it's not that hard to find two people that look almost like literally identical to each other. There are twins out there that their whole life has been making sure that they look like identical twins for commercials, for movies, for whatever. You could have found that. I mean, I don't know if you could have found anyone better than Lindsay Lohan because she's fantastic, but I feel like you didn't have to worry so much then about how long that they were working, doing like I know you said that they had like the cameras, the one that we deleted. They had the cameras like on a track so that the cameras would do the exact same movement for both rounds of acting for each character. So I just feel like you could have gone away with all of these obstacles and potential like money being spent because I feel like it definitely costs more to do all of these camera tricks than to hire another actor. Just time alone, um, plus all of the editing. I would have. I know there are people out there who love editing. I would have had to like hit myself in the head if I had to do that. I would have been like, wife from the first movie, can you punch me instead of the husband? Thank you. Like, it just seems difficult. Well, another fun fact that I have, I'll do the not so fun fact first, but then jump into the fun fact so that we don't spend too much time being sad. But the lady who plays Elizabeth Banks in this movie has sadly passed away since like it has come out, which is just devastating because she is so wonderful. She's a great actress, and I don't know her personally, nor have I ever heard of her outside of this movie, but I just feel like she's a lovely person in real life. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments, but I refuse to believe that she's a bad person. But the fun fact that I have is that Meredith Blake's mother in this film is the woman who plays Vicky in the original film. And she still has the same name and everything, which just makes me wonder, how did you not prepare your daughter for this possible situation to happen to her? Because I feel like it takes place in the same universe, and you didn't mention it once that you also got duped by some dumbass twin children like that ruined your life and potential wealthy marriage. Come on.
And the best is when she's like, "Call me Aunt Vicky," and whoever Annie or Hallie sees her is like, um, okay, no, so good. I love that they have Oreos with peanut butter. That's just a random thing. I just love that, and it made me try it when I was younger. Very good.
Damn.
I also
It
what?
same, and it also made me wonder like who finds it disgusting because they make that comment like most people think this is gross. It's an Oreo with another sugary, flavorful spread on top. You can't F it up with that. That's like saying dipping an Oreo in frosting would be gross. Like, never tried it, but come on, it's gotta taste good.
The other thing I like, which I'm a numbers person, so this might only be a fun fact for me, but Their birthday is October 11th, so 10/11, and they're turning 12 on that date, so 10/11/12, which I like. That's just me.
Love that for you. I thought that it was great that they were trying to talk about who was getting which kid and how long, because they're like, we can't separate them again, you know? And they mentioned, like, oh, 6 months with me, 6 months with you, things like that. And finally, someone, because I think they said stuff like this in the first movie too, but someone finally addressed, like, they can't go to two schools in 1 year every year. That's not going to work because they're not going to like sync up correctly, especially if one of them's a London or England school and one of them's a US school in California. They're not the same. So it's just funny that it took till the second movie for them to finally be like, oh yeah, maybe we should think about this child's actual life because it's not going to be summer all the time. So I liked that.
Very true, because that would not work well. And then I like too that at the end it does work out between them and that he's there waiting for her, and he says like something, or she's like gonna get emotional, or I don't know. Previously in the film, he says something about how she doesn't have to be so strong. And she's like, oh, but I have to. And then I think at the end, though, he's like, you don't have to get emotional. And she's like, oh, but I have to.
It just the things that they set up and come back to are so great. So I just love like we I just said earlier in this podcast, you know, everything has a reason to be in there basically. And that was the reason that was in there so that they could come back to it at the end and it was beautiful. I also um thought that it was funny. As a kid, I didn't believe it was possible. But now that I've had a sleeping pill at least once in my life, I can attest to the fact that you would probably not feel children dragging you across the forest and putting you into the lake because those sleeping pills are strong. And like I said, as a kid, I was like, she took a sleeping pill and couldn't wake up because I'm a very light sleeper for the most part. Except for this morning, apparently I turned off my alarm and didn't wake up and didn't realize it. So I had to be woken up so that I could make it to the podcast this morning. But sleeping pills will F you up and you will end up in the middle of a lake without realizing it. I also feel like she probably took it with alcohol. That's just like, in my opinion, probably something that she actually did. I'm making it canon. It's facts now.
Yeah, that's like one of the best scenes too, is she wakes up on this air mattress in the lake or pond, whatever it is, and then it's because this bird is like pecking at her face, and she's like, oh, Nikki. And then when she realizes it's this bird, she tries to get up. Like, who decides to stand up on this air mattress in the middle of the lake, right? And of course she falls in, and Nicholas is laughing actually. And I was like, yes, because that is funny. Come on. Classic.
Oh, yeah. And she has no sense of humor. Like, she doesn't laugh at anything, for one, and especially not at herself. I can understand being upset, though, that this happened, especially if the whole trip previously, these children have literally been effing with your life. So I can understand her being upset, but she has absolutely zero sense of humor. But I will say, and I think you agree with me, the woman who plays Meredith Blake is a fantastic actress. Way better than the woman who played Vicky. Vicky was just always like, I'm perfect and elegant. Like, she doesn't have a British accent, but she should have. That's like how elegant she felt she was. Whereas Meredith is like that perfect, elegant person, but she's also like a bitch, which I love. And the actress isn't afraid to look goofy. I mean, she still looks beautiful and perfect somehow, being goofy and whatnot, which is like, how? Because the one scene that pops out in my mind is the lizard scene when the lizard's on her head which one, you for sure felt that. You don't have that much hair and hairspray in your hair right now. But then it like crawls like down her face or something and it goes into her mouth, and just the way her eyes bug out and she's freaking out. Great facial acting there. Like, she's wonderful. This woman is so great, and I can totally tell how she got cast for this, because she was like made for this role. Just the like smile, but like evil behind it that she had, like, wonderful.
Very true. She's just perfect for the role. And I mean, there's many other tidbits from the movie that it's just like, yes, perfect choice. But that is one of the best. I think that is all that I have to say for this movie. Do you have anything else you would like to add?
Two very small things. I thought them all meeting each other at the hotel was way better than them like figuring out everything at like the house in the original one. I loved like her being in one place and then he goes downstairs and she's down there again and he's like, "Wait, weren't you just up in the room?" And she's like, "Sure." Like, I just love the confusion of him like having to spin and be like, "Where am I? How many people are there?" I love that. And I also, the part that makes me cry almost every time is when Hallie meets her mom for the first time and she hugs her. I'm always like, no, this is so beautiful. Like, I just think about not having like a mom for 11 years and then meeting her and she's just like as perfect as you could ever imagine. And like just hugging her for the first time gets me emotional. It's so good.
That is a very touching, heartwarming scene. And then, unlike the first film, she, comes with these ears pierced and her hair's shorter. And in the first film, it's like, are you trying to be a girl or a boy with the haircut? And now her mom's saying, like, the haircut's so cute. And she's like, and you got your ears pierced or something. Or maybe that was Martin who said that. Actually, he definitely says that and like twirls her around because he's so excited. But I think the mom still says something about it. And then she's like, did you put any other holes in your body? Like, do you have a belly button piercing I need to know about?
But it all comes from like a place of like being a mom and just kind of being like, okay, I just need to know so that I can prepare myself. But it's just a heartwarming movie. They are great actors, every single one of them. And again, my only critique of it is going to be, why did you think it was a good idea to split up your children anyway? But that's neither here nor there, because you wouldn't have a movie if they didn't. So pick your poison, people.
Yeah, without that fact, it wouldn't be made. But it does not make sense. I will say that. It's not logical.
All right, so that is it for this. Next week, we will be watching and reviewing the original Lady and the Tramp, and you will hear our opinions of it. Will we like it? Will we not? Who knows? You'll have to come back and find out. And with that, I will run through our social media real quick. So first, follow us on the Instagram at youtalkingtome.podcast, because not only do we post stuff there, but if you saw last month, we had a bonus podcast on our Instagram live, which was an exclusive there. So if you want to catch our next one, keep an eye out on there and watch it. Also follow us on Twitter at youtalkingtome11, because we're both number one. Go on YouTube and watch us there, because we've got video now, and subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and like our videos. Comment below if you have questions, if you've got concerns, if you thought anything was problematic in this movie that we did not touch on, because we might just be blinded by our love for it. You can also email us at youtalkingtomepodcast@gmail.com. Anything else, Hannah?
I think that's everything.
Beautiful. Oh, the deer are still here, and I think Jack has fed them so they won't starve to death. With that, I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talking to Me podcast.
Bye.